Assalamu alaikum. How are you today? Today I want to talk about traveling, the traveler. In Islam we call it a musafir, and there are actually special conditions governing one who is a musafir. Uh, One that comes to mind immediately is the shortened salah or qasr salah, where all the four rak'ats get shortened to two rak'ats. Dhuhr, Asr, and Isha. Of course, Fajr and Maghrib can't be shortened. And Qasr Salah was considered to be a reward from Allah. So you're traveling and you get rewarded for traveling. Is a point to note there about how important traveling is. And in fact, it was so important that back in the day, newly visiting people in a town would make salah at the back in Jama'ah in the masjid, but they wouldn't make four rak'ats in Jama'ah with the rest of the Jama'ah of the masjid. They would make salah separate at the back because Qasr Salah was considered important, and ignoring it would be like ignoring a gift from Allah. But there is only one point about being a musafir, a traveler. Traveling was so important back in those days that scholars used to travel, and it was safe to travel under Muslim rule all over the known world back then. And there are highly important scholars who kept journals. If we think in terms of the Western world, then we think about Marco Polo. But Marco Polo has been shown to have, plain and simply, unfortunately, he lied about what he wrote. Later scholars found that the claims that he made just couldn't be true, plain and simply because the incidents or the people that he mentioned at the time, they weren't there when he was there. In China, for example. And so a lot of Marco Polo's travels was not true. A lot of the incidents, a lot of the things that he claimed happened wasn't true. You must understand that book writing was sensationalism back then. So the more claims you could make, the more sales you could get. If you look at highly acclaimed Muslim travelers, like the first one that comes to mind is Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta was what is today called Morocco. Back then, the area was referred to as Al Maghrib, or the land where Meccans look towards when it's Maghrib. When you watch the setting sun, you are looking towards Maghrib. And that is where today, that's the direction where Morocco is, Shatr al Maghrib, in the line of Morocco, if you like. And he was from there. And he left as a young man, and he only got back to Morocco more than 22 years later. And he kept a detailed journal about everything that he encountered, surprisingly detailed. And it's so difficult to get hold of Ibn Battuta's a record or book that he wrote about his own travels, because he's so popular, so famous, and his writings are so accurate that they are actually used as a reference point for other historical records at that time. And so that is how Ibn Battuta became well known, because of his writings. And he is also acknowledged as being an extremely uh, a technical, he's also acknowledged as being extremely accurate with his recordings of times and places and dates, to the point where all scholars from all over use his recording as a reference points or as references. This is Ibn Battuta, the Moroccan. And I still to this day haven't been able to even buy a copy of his book. I can't find a place to buy. I have to myself have traveled, but of course, when traveling, you don't always remember uh, everything that you're looking for. And I did find another book by Ibn Jubayr, another. Um, it's it's the author, and Ibn Jubayr. It says he was a medieval Spanish Muslim who traveled, of course, to the Haramain, to Mecca and Medina, Egypt, cities of the Middle East, and Sicily. And for those of you who don't know, Sicily at the time, the little island at the foot of Italy, that whole island was a Muslim island back then, many centuries. Sicily was Muslim, and um, Sicily is of course considered part of Europe, and over the centuries, the the Muslims were evicted from Sicily, like they were evicted from southern Spain. And if I can just show you in this book, I don't know if you can see this clearly, but this is a map, an original map of the time of Ibn Jubayr's travels. You can, of course, pause it there if you want to have a look at the map in more detail. That is the Middle East, Damascus, Baghdad, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and it's still Ethiopia is still called Nubia, yeah, which is what it was back then. That's what it was called, Nubia. And this is an extremely interesting book, which I need to reread. And here is his travels in the western half of the world back then. And you can pause that also. You can see Al Maghrib is very clear on there. And on the other side, it says the empire of Saladin, or whatever that is his Western name, because this is now the Western map. Saladin is Salahuddin al Ayyubi, who's another extremely important character in Muslim history. And I have a book on Salahuddin as well. So maybe the next video I make must be about Salahuddin al Ayyubi. On that map, if you go back and you pause it, you'll see it says the Eastern Roman Empire, more well known as the Byzantines. If you know your history, then you will know that the Roman Empire split into the Western and the Eastern half. And the Western half in today's Italy, they disappeared into nothing. And the Eastern half, they became known as the Byzantine Roman peoples. And the that was the part of the Roman Empire that adopted Christianity en masse. So the Byzantine Empire is also known as the Roman Christian part of Rome, if you like. And the interesting thing is, if you look to the side here, on the side, right next to Byzantine or the Eastern Roman Empire, is the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum. And the Sultanate is an area that is ruled by a Sultan, like a king would rule an area which is called a kingdom. The sultan is the exact same as the Muslim version of a kingdom called the sultanate, and it is called the Sultanate of Rum. And Rum is the Arabic word of for Roman. So that was actually a Roman sultanate, or a Roman area that became Muslim and then became a sultanate. And they were obviously taken over by the Seljuks, which was a specific Muslim family or tribe, more like a tribe, if you like, the Seljuks. Um, so just here on this one page is a lot of history and a lot of things to talk about. But the most important thing here is the two travelers, Ibn Jubair and Ibn Battuta. And the most interesting and most influential character that I've just showed you now is Salahuddin al-Ayyubi. And I think my next video will be on him. Salaam alaikum.